Slander is a serious sin. Like its cousin gossip, slander is incredibly destructive. It lies in wait for blood, Proverbs 12:6. It destroys neighbors, Proverbs 11:9, and separates close friends, Proverbs 16:28. But while both slander and gossip involve destructive speech, slander adds the additional element of dishonesty. Gossip spreads the fire, but slander sparks it. One of the easiest ways to be led into sin is when we're sinned against. Here are 3 tips for responding with wisdom and grace when slandered. 1. Commit your reputation to the Lord. It's sometimes right to defend your reputation before those who have slandered you, especially if you're in some kind of leadership role and the slander would damage your work or your ministry. But oftentimes it's better to stay silent, trust in the Lord, and let truth be your greatest advocate in the long run. As my dad puts it, when, not if, your reputation suffers an undeserved injury, your quiet integrity over time will say all that needs to be said. Even if you do need to defend yourself, give it some time. Don't panic. Don't explode. Don't be guided by fear. It's valid to defend yourself, but we should be careful not to become too defensive about ourselves. The tendency is to think that we have to fix everything, particularly in winning back those who have heard the slander and sharing your own side of the story. But often it's fear of people, not fear of God, that produces this instinct. Sometimes when we try to defend ourselves, it can only make things worse. I love Spurgeon's metaphor. A great lie, if unnoticed, is like a big fish out of water. It dashes and plunges and beats itself to death in a short time. As Jesus says, have no fear of them, for nothing is covered that will not be revealed, or hidden that will not be made known, in Matthew 10:26. When you feel the pinch of fear and self-protection, remind yourself that truth will win in the end. Truth is relentless, unyielding, inevitable, and invincible. It's the king of come-from-behind victories. Next, you can gently confront the slanderer. In my observation, it's amazing how often people engage in the sin of slander without realizing it. Therefore, the most loving thing you can do for all parties concerned, including the slanderer, is to gently, lovingly confront. Such a conversation should be done in person, not over email, text, phone, or social media. In certain situations, it might be helpful to bring a friend or outside party trusted by both parties, though I think it generally best to begin by going alone. Bringing someone else in too quickly can escalate a situation. It's important to go in a spirit of gentleness and not put the other on the defensive with fault-finding or an accusatory tone. Here are 2 ways to do this. Begin with questions. This enables you to get all the facts before arriving at any conclusions, and it's less confrontational. Express vulnerability to the slanderer. This is easy to overlook since it's not our natural tendency when dealing with someone who's hurt us. But sentences that begin with, I felt sadness or pain when, rather than, you sinned against me when, are more likely to gain your brother, which is the most important goal. Amazingly, because some slander without realizing it, they're genuinely surprised when they've hurt you. Starting off with sharing your heart rather than an accusation can de-escalate the situation and produce a peaceable result. It's awkward and scary to confront someone, but you must do it. If you don't, you're not loving the person who slandered you, and you aren't overcoming evil with good. And thirdly, preach the gospel to yourself. There's always a danger of lapsing into victimhood and self-pity when sinned against, which is the opposite of what the gospel should produce in our hearts. While it doesn't eliminate the pain of slander, the gospel can reduce our defensiveness and sense of injury if we remember that apart from the grace of God, I'm worse than what I'm being slandered as. Again, Spurgeon is helpful here. If any man thinks ill of you, do not be angry with him, for you are worse than he thinks you to be. George Whitefield is a good example to us all. Let the name of Whitefield perish, but Christ be glorified. Let my name die everywhere. Let even my friends forget me, if by that means the cause of the blessed Jesus may be promoted. I am content to wait till the judgment day for the clearing up of my reputation. And after I am dead, I desire no other epitaph than this. Here lies GW. What sort of man he was, the great day will discover. Amen. May the Lord, who sees and judges everything, give us such a spirit.